February 14th. Got our recording going there. Let me close this real quick. There we are. So my name's Robert. I'm with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today we're going to be covering our Placester 101 class. That's our basic Placester setup class. That's getting your site launched, getting your information out onto the site, getting it ready for clients to start using. If you're looking for the more advanced stuff like custom pages and writing blog posts and adding testimonials to your site and that kind of thing, that's our Placester 201 class, and that'll actually be next Wednesday. But it is also recorded at slmtraining.com. So that's S as in Scott, L as in Leroy, M as in marketing, training.com. As will this class be a couple of hours hopefully after we get done here. So before we get started, I do want to give you guys one warning. If you're using Internet Explorer, it does not work with the Placester interface. So if you're using Internet Explorer and you've already signed in, if you can, switch over to a different browser pretty quickly, maybe Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, just because the Placester interface won't load in Internet Explorer. It was actually retired about a year and a half ago by Microsoft in favor of the new browser, Edge. And if you've got Windows 10, you're welcome to use Edge. It's just Internet Explorer doesn't work with the Placester interface. So if you're not already signed in, that's our first step, is to get signed in to mykw.kw.com, no matter which browser you're using. We do have a lot of misconceptions about the Placester site. What is my login for my site? How do I get in and make changes? It's actually not on the front end of your site. It's actually all managed here through mykw.kw.com. So go ahead and get logged in. Once you're logged in, and I'm way zoomed in here so you guys can see what we're doing. If I were on regular sites, you'd probably see something like this. That'd be pretty small. So once we're logged in, up in our top black menu, we'll hover over Technology and then click on KW Websites. And then if you have this red button that says Go to my website, go ahead and click on that. If you don't have this button, unfortunately, there's not really much that we can do during the course of this class to fix that. What needs to happen is that your @kw.com email address has to exist, and if we did your setup, we created that email address for you. It just has to be there. You don't have to use it. You don't have to sign into it. It just has to exist. And then the other thing is that your MLS ID needs to be added to your KW White Pages profile. We can't do that for you, nor can you do it for yourself. It actually has to be done by somebody in leadership at your market center. Usually it's the MCA. So if your button isn't there, contact your MCA and make sure that your MLS ID is in the White Pages in KW. Once that's added, roughly 24 hours later, you'll get an email notification to your @kw.com address, which can't be changed. That's the only address it'll go to. And a pop-up notification when you first log in to mykw.kw.com that this site is available. It can take up to that full 24 hours for that to happen. So like I said, if your button isn't there right now, it's not going to be during the course of this class, but that's okay because you can come back and watch the recording. Another thing about whether the site is available or not is if it's not available and you don't want to deal with watching the recording later, we can actually do this entire setup process that I'm going to be showing you for you. That's actually one of the free services that we offer through your Market Center subscription. So if you want to learn how your site works, which we definitely encourage, you can watch through this class. But if you'd rather just have us set it up and then ignore it, you can just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get it taken care of for you. So if you do have your button, go ahead and click Go to my website. That's going to open up your Placester interface. And sometimes it is pretty slow to load. There we are. So we're here on our Placester dashboard, and I'm going to zoom in a little just to make everything a little bit more visible. You might have some of these tiles going across the top here. We're going to ignore those basically. Instead, we're going to go down here under Quick Actions, and we'll click on Launch Site. If your site is already launched, you're not going to have to relaunch it. If it's not launched, launching it is a one-click process. You don't have to type in anything. You don't have to choose any settings. There's nothing complicated about it. You just click Launch Site, and it launches. And then it'll take you to the list of your existing sites. Now there should be just one site listed here. Most agents are only going to have one site. Every once in a while we do see a little bit of a, I don't even know what to call it, but every once in a while some agents have more than one site in here, either because they accidentally clicked the plus sign to create a new site, or somehow their account just randomly generated an additional site. So if you do see extra ones, kind of ignore them. We're just going to be working on one for today. And then another exception is if you're a member member of the commercial division, farm and ranch division, or luxury division, you get an additional KW site for each of those. So if you're a member of all three, you could have up to 4 sites. But today we're just going to be working in our regular site. We're not going to work on the commercial site. So when I clicked launch site, it took me here to my list of sites. And if you're curious about how to get here, that's up here in the top right next to our notification bell, this grid of 9 squares. If we click on that, this is where I am right here, sites right here. Dashboard is where I was before. Sites is where I am right now, and you can get to those anytime you want to up in this top menu. Once you're on your list of sites or on the dashboard, it's over on the left side, you can click on Edit Site once that site is launched. And this is going to take you to the site settings page, and this is where we're going to do all of our work today in our Placester 101 class. This is our basic class. If you want to learn more about the rest of these, the pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas, again, that's in Placester 201, and you can watch that at slmtraining.com anytime. So right now we're in site settings, and that's what all this is here, and we're just going to work our way from the top down. First here is our listings section, and this is talking about listings that are showing on your site. First, we're going to click on our IDX integration. And in here, you'll notice by default the KWLS is selected. That's the Keller Williams listing service, and that is only KW listings across the country. So depending on what region you choose, and you can even select multiple regions here if you wanted to. You could even do select all, and it would show listings from all around the country. Actually, I think even in parts of Canada. What was I saying there? And that's KW only listings. So if it's if you're looking for a listing maybe in Cry-like or what is it, Coldwell Banker, one of those other companies, it's not going to show on your site. So that's actually limiting what clients can find on your site. So that's typically not a good thing. So what you would want to do if it shows your local MLS, which I'm going to, Scott apparently is a member of the Cooperative Arkansas MLS. If it shows your local MLS, over on the right, we're going to click on Use this MLS. And once it's selected, double check that there is a region right down here in these parentheses. Sometimes it goes as none by default, and if you click save, nothing will happen. It'll just click it, nothing, and it'll just stay on this page forever. So to choose your region, you would want to click edit and then choose the state that you actually work in, and which right now this is just going to be Arkansas. If your MLS is not listed here, there's a couple of ways to go about getting it there. One is to request a new integration down here. This isn't the most common way to do it though. What you would want to do is double check with your office and see what the process is for getting that IDX connection from the MLS to your site set up. Usually it involves some paperwork that needs to be submitted. Your office should have that paperwork on hand there. It'll be submitted to, there are actually 3 IDX connections that you're going to need to have. This one is going to be submitted directly to Placester, and then Placester will contact the MLS and get that IDX connection set up. Once they do that, you'll be able to come in here and use this MLS on your local MLS. If you don't have your MLS available in this list for now, that's fine. You can leave it as the KWLS for the time being. Just double check with your office about what that process looks like for getting it connected. Once you've got the MLS that you want selected, we'll click on Save down here on the bottom right. And about that green Save button, you'll want to click it for everything that you do in the Placester site. Nothing gets saved if you've made changes without clicking that green button. So say you worked, for a half hour on a page you created and you closed the window, guess what? That page isn't going to be on your site and there's no way to recover it because you didn't click that Save button. So you got to click Save. Moving down, we just finished an IDX integration. Now we're going to go to Global Filters. This is controlling what listings can be found anywhere on your site, whether it's on the search form or on the homepage or whatever, or search page, homepage. This is controlling what listings can be found on your site. You don't want to get very restrictive here. You want to leave this as open as possible so that you don't limit yourself when people are searching on your site. Now you may want to narrow it down. Say you lived in lived near a big metropolitan area and your MLS covered that big metropolitan area. Like we're in Arkansas in this MLS. Say we lived near Little Rock. That's a big metro area, but I wanted to work maybe in the suburbs around Little Rock, and I didn't want to show listings on my site that were that were in Little Rock. What we would do is down here on Add Search Criteria, in this drop down, we'd come down here and add a city or maybe a zip code. and we do add over here on the right, and I could add in the cities that I do want to show listings for on my site. There's not a way to exclude a city, so if I didn't want to work in Little Rock, I couldn't tell it don't show Little Rock. What I would do instead is show only these cities that are around Little Rock. So I don't even know what's around Little Rock. I've never been to Arkansas in my life. Actually, nope, never have been to Arkansas. So if you know the cities that are around your metro area that you want to work in, you would list those cities here, like I'm going to put it in A. Okay, pretend Augusta is one of the cities around Little Rock. I would put in my A, and since Augusta is the first one there, I would hit Tab, and it's going to select that. And then I don't know why it doubles it here. Put in a B here, say I want to work in Barling. Now when I saved this down at the bottom, and I'm not going to because that would narrow me down way too much, it would only, people on my site would only be able to find listings in Augusta or Barling. No matter whether they searched in a different city or typed a different city or anything, the only listings that would come up are Augusta or Barling. So it's kind of dangerous to get into the global filters here. You definitely want to be careful, and if you notice that listings aren't showing up that you think are supposed to be there, you may want to open up these global filters. Usually I recommend just not putting anything in global filters, but if you know what you're doing, feel free to do that. It's your site. You can do whatever you want. Once you've made any changes, go ahead and click Save down at the bottom. I'm just going to click out of here. Moving down from global filters, we're here on featured listings. Okay, I just got a message from somebody on my team. Okay, so featured listings, you can get a lot more restrictive with. This is choosing which listings are going to show on your home page. So, for example, what happens a lot is an agent says, you know, I've got 6 or 8 listings and I want only my listings to show on the home page. You can definitely do that right here under filtered listings. What you would do is come down here to add search criteria, and in this drop down, we'd scroll to the bottom and we'd add in agent ID. And then click add on the right, and you would put in, you know, your MLS ID, whatever you use to log into the MLS. And when you click search, it's not going to show me anything here because that's not a real MLS ID. But when you click search down in this list, it would show you only your listings, just showing you that it's working. Once you've got that updated, you would click save down here at the bottom, and then only your listings would show on the home page. But say you're a newer agent, or you don't want to show just your listings, or your listings are in an area that you're not passionate about working in, you want to work more in this other area, this is where you can get pretty restrictive. So let me remove this one here. Let's say, let's go pick a city again, and I wanted to work mostly in Augusta. I'm going to click on Augusta, and that's added there. And then also, say Augusta was an older town and there were some antebellum houses in there, and that's where I wanted to work, was on those older houses. That's my passion. Then I would, what am I trying to say there? I would go down to an add search criteria and add it by, let's see, I guess they don't have a year built. Never mind. So say I wanted to work on, gosh, luxury listings. Let's pretend I was a luxury agent and I didn't have a luxury site. I wasn't part of that division, but I wanted to work on luxury listings. I would add maybe a minimum price of $499,000, because we know that's how things get priced, is it's a 99, not an even 500. And you know, minimum baths of 3, minimum beds of 3. And that's where I wanted to work, and that's what I wanted to show on my homepage. We would just scroll down, click save. And now if I go to view live site up here in the top right, by the way, this is where I clicked right here, up on the top right, view live site. It's going to open a new tab with the site, and on the home page, it's telling me, sorry, no results found. Apparently there aren't any listings in Augusta that are a minimum of 3 beds, 3 baths, and over 500,000. But if there were, this is where they would show here in featured properties. So if I go and relax those settings, I'm just going to remove everything I put there and save that. Come back and refresh Scott's site. There we go. So this is what the featured listings looks like. And by default, it's going to show the highest price listings first. You can change that sort here to be days on site newest, which is what we have. So it's the freshest listings in the MLS. Could be year built oldest if you're wanting to show those historic homes. It could be most beds or baths. It could be the most images, maybe highest priced if you wanted to work in luxury listings. It's up to you how you'd like to sort those. And then this default results per page, there's a page type that you can create, and that's covered in Placester 201. That's called a featured listings page. It would use these settings to show a page full of nothing but listings that meet these criteria. And you can tell it, I want to show 10, 20, or 50 listings per page. It's up to you how many of those you want to choose. I'm not sure about the reasoning behind the different numbers, but it's up to you how you want it to look. Once you've made your changes in here in featured listings, you would come down and click Save down at the bottom, and that would be applied on your site. Any changes you make to the Placester site are immediate. If you change your name, if you change your contact information, there's not any kind of waiting. Immediately you go to your site, refresh it, and there it is. Moving down to the site design section, by the way, we just finished with the listings section, and I know that sometimes I can either ramble or I move a little quickly. So if I'm moving too quickly for you, feel free to send me a message in the chat window, and I'll send you guys a message here to pop that up. There we go. If I'm moving too quickly or whatever, or anything like that, feel free to ask some questions there in the chat box. I'll be monitoring that. Okay, moving down to our site design section. First thing here is theme selection. This is choosing the look and feel of your site. This is picking arrangements mostly, and then some color. There are 8 themes that you can choose from. 2 of those themes are KW specific. Only KW agents get 2 of the themes that they offer. The other 6 everybody else gets. The first one that only KW agents get is the default one, which is this Madison here. And then there's also this Madison Metro that's a little bit cleaner without the colored background. It's rather a white background with colored accents. And you're welcome to choose that as well as you want, or excuse me, if you want. And then there are also 6 others that arrange things a little differently depending on which one you choose. You know, this one a little bit more simplistic. This one has some things moved around, has a bigger version of your picture. It's up to you which one of these you want to choose, but the main thing to keep in mind is that you're not choosing your theme based on this picture right here. Whatever this picture is behind or above the search bar, you choose. You control what that picture is. You're choosing your theme based on color and layout and sizes and where things are positioned. So like this picture with this white fenced house, you could change that picture out to be something else. So choose your theme based on the way that everything looks together rather than the picture. I'm just gonna stay with the Madison right here for now. Scrolling down here, most themes will allow you to choose some colors. This is choosing maybe some background colors or button colors or text colors depending on the theme that you choose. Here on the Madison, the regular Madison, this is choosing the color of this area up here at the top. It can be the red or the blue or this nice green here. It's up to you which color you want to choose. Some themes have a combination of colors that you can choose. This one's red and gray, this one's blue and red. So it's up to you how you want to do that. You can choose whatever colors you want. And then down here on the Madison specifically, we can choose whether we want to have the solid color header up top with the white buttons and the white links, or whether we want to have the white header up top with the colored buttons and colored links. So I've selected the green right here. And so this would be a white background with green buttons and green links. And then also on the Madison, this one I think is exclusive to the Madison and the Madison Metro, you can choose what the text up here says. Where it says the best place to find your home, you can choose what that text says right here. Now we do get questions about, can I make it bigger or smaller? Can I change the font? Can I make it italicized? Can I change it to a different color? No, it's always going to be white. It's always going to be that size. It's always going to be that position. You're just changing what it says. Okay, so I usually do something like your home search starts, there's an H in search here, something like that. Oops. And then again, we got to save everything that we do in the Placester site. So let's click that green save button. And if I refresh Scott's site, now we've got that new, whenever it decides to load, there we go, our new white header bar and our green accents here. And I've got my new text here, your home search starts here. So that's what you can change on the theme page. Coming down a little further, we're going to the slideshow section. Remember, you're not choosing your theme based on the pictures that go behind the search bar because you're controlling them, what pictures those are right here. So for the slideshow, I do want to point out at the top, there's this link here that says, please visit this help article for image resizing tips to learn ideal slideshow dimensions for each Placester theme. Definitely encourage you to check out that page there because Placester has put together a page for you letting you know exactly what size your pictures need to be in order for them to fit properly in the slideshow. A good rule of thumb, if you don't want to go read this page, and again, I definitely recommend for you to, but a good rule of thumb is about 1600 pixels wide, so 1600 pixels wide by 600 pixels tall. That's usually going to fit pretty well. It may do a little bit of cropping or some squishing, but it's not going to look too bad. And that is a good starting point. But each theme, depending on which theme you've chosen, has its own dimensions. Now, one thing about this page is it doesn't mention the Madison or the Madison Metro. Those are specific to KW, so they're not on this page. For those themes, it's 1600 pixels wide by 660 pixels tall. So 1600 wide, 660 tall, okay? Coming down here to slideshows, you can choose from any of the default slideshows that they've got here. There should be about 5 of them, and each slideshow can have up to 5 pictures in it. So if I go back to Scott's site right now, you see these little dots down here. As I go between them, it's showing me the different pictures that are in this slideshow, and it would actually rotate those automatically. You don't have to click them, and you're choosing what those pictures are. You can select one of the slideshows they've got put together here, and they've got some nice pictures in them. You know, this is outdoors, nature, all that fun stuff. This one's got some nice mid-priced homes here. You can choose that one. Or you can, if you select one of these, you can customize it by uploading a different image in certain places. You can delete images. You can change the text that shows over the picture. You can add links to them. Or even additionally, let me go back here to our slideshow section. You can create your own from scratch using the plus sign right here. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create my own slideshow from scratch. This is, we're going to, okay, 101 class test, that's what we'll call it. And then you can upload up to 5 pictures. You can do as few as 1, so it's just a static image behind your search bar, but you can have no more than 5. Only 5 images at a time can rotate behind your search bar there. We're not sure why they picked that number. Maybe you should ask Placester if that's concerning you, but we think 5 is fine. You can upload your own images right here. Now, one thing about images on your website, we're at my main slideshow right here. One thing about images on your website is you want to make sure that you have permission to show those images on your site. That means either you bought the rights to, somebody gave you written permission to, you took the picture yourself, you hired a photographer to take them, or you found some, what are they called, royalty-free or free-to-use Creative Commons images across the internet. All of these images that I found right here that I've uploaded are Creative Commons images. So these are free to use. I don't have to credit anybody. I don't have to pay anybody. And if you want to learn how to find those images, we actually have a class about that that's recorded at slmtraining.com as well. Or we can send you the link directly to that. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. In fact, let me just go see if I can find it real quick. And I'll send it over in the chat window. There we go, where to find free images to use on your website. And I'm going to send that over in the chat window. And you can just search for that video if you're watching this later. Okay, so these images I've uploaded here. You'll notice that some of them are those correct dimensions. This one's 1600 pixels wide by 600 tall. This one is a little bit taller. This one is fitting that size properly, and this one is a lot taller. I'll show you what that looks like once I've got this saved real quick. Go back to Scott's site. There's a reason that your images want to be a specific size, because if it's too tall, which, let's go over here to this boots picture here, you notice it cut off the dock and it cut off the tip of her boot. That's because if your image is too tall, it's going to cut off the top and bottom and only show the middle 600 pixels. So if your image is bigger than that, you would want to crop it and scale it down. And that page that I mentioned back at the beginning of the slideshow section, this has tips for how to do that. So your images, you want them to be a lot wider than they are tall, about 4 times as wide as they are tall. And then here we go. Here's our lighthouse picture here. You notice it cuts off the top and bottom. You can barely tell that that's a lighthouse. So you definitely want them to be wider than they are tall for sure. Okay, so now that's my slideshow that I've selected. Scroll down. There isn't actually a save here because I saved it when I was working on the slideshow, so I can actually exit that. Moving down here, we're at our certifications section. Certifications is probably the easiest thing to do on the site. You're just clicking the certifications that apply to you, really easy. When they're blue bordered like that, that lets you know that it's selected. For most agents in the US, and this doesn't so much apply to Canada, but in the US, most agents can and are supposed to select equal housing opportunity because that's the law. You have to have that on your site. And then also most agents can select National Association of Realtors if you're a member of a board of realtors. If you're just a member of the MLS without being a member of a board, you can't show this on your site, but for most agents they are, so you can select that as well. And then you can select up to 4 more. So up to 6 logos can display on your website, and those are shown down at the bottom. I'll show you in a second where those go, and you would just click the ones that apply to you. Once you've got those selected, you would scroll to the bottom and click your Save button, and then if I refresh Scott's site, there we go. Scroll down to the bottom here. There's my equal housing and my National Association of Realtors that I just selected. Okay, so that's certifications. Drop down to social networks. This is very similar to the social networks links that go into your White Pages profile in the My Referrals section. If you've been through the MyKW Academy, Scott goes through how to do that. If you haven't, it's really simple. You notice here that it's got facebook.com/. That means that what goes in the box over here is after this slash. You're not pasting in the whole http:// blah, 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 all of that stuff. It only wants the part after the first slash. So for us, it would be like facebook.com/ScottLeroyMarketing. Same for Twitter. Similar for LinkedIn. This is one of the ones that's a little bit wonky. For LinkedIn, it has to have in slash because for whatever reason, it's not going to put that in by default. Don't know why. And so that is noted by having the slash here. It's after the first slash, and you have to have the in and then the second slash and then whatever the rest it is, something like that. And similar for YouTube. If you're linking to a specific YouTube video, you can just paste in whatever's after the first slash. If you're pasting in the link to your channel or to your user page, it would be something like C/ or channel/ or user/, depending on how long ago you created your channel in YouTube. They've changed the format over the years. But the rest of them, it is just whatever's after the slash. Okay? Once you've got that, let's see, I'm going to put in our C. Where's my backspace? There we go. Once you've got all that in there, we'll save it. And by the way, if you need help finding these public social media profile links, we have a video specifically for that. Let me go see if I can find it. There it is right there, how to find your public social media profile links. There we go. And so if you need help finding those, that's where they are. Let me refresh Scott's site here so we can see where those links go. On the Madison theme, they go up here in the top left, and if I click on them, it'll take me over to that profile. There we are. This is our Scott Leroy YouTube channel. All right. Moving down, we're going to go down to search form. This gets a little bit funny depending on the theme that you've chosen. If you're using the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, you're only going to be able to use the Omnibox with auto-suggest here. So you would just do next and save. Now, if you're using a different theme, by the way, let me explain the Omnibox here. The Omnibox is a little bit different from traditional drop-down based search bars. You notice on most search sites, you have a drop-down for year, a drop-down for price, a drop-down for beds, a drop-down for baths, a drop-down for zip, a drop-down for city, a drop-down for square feet, drop-down for this, that, and the other, 100 drop-downs. In the Omnibox, it replaces all those drop-downs with just a text string. So what we could do, say I go over to Scott's site here, say I wanted a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet with a fence and a pool, or not a pool, let's do a fireplace and a basement and I don't know, Little Rock. In Little Rock, okay? Say I just typed all that in there. It's going to take me to the search page and it's going to show listings as if I had selected drop downs for those criteria. Minimum beds 3, minimum baths 2, minimum square feet 1,500, city Little Rock, and then keywords of fireplace and basement. So this listing right here meets all of those criteria. It's got a fireplace, it's got a basement, it's got 3 beds, 2 baths, and it's at least 1,500 square feet. So it's replacing all of those drop downs with a single search string. It's up to you whether you want to present that to your clients. If you're using the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, that's your only option. But let me go switch my theme here to the Plymouth here. This looks pretty similar, but it's not exactly the same. If I come back here to search form, now I've got some additional options to select. I can choose one of the more traditional drop-down based search bars. And all you're selecting here is which one you want to show first. Do you want price to be the first drop-down, or city, or zip, or neighborhood? Most people, price is fine. That's why it's the most common one. It's up there at the top of the list. Once you've selected that, you would come down here to next. And what we're selecting on this page is how many additional drop-downs do we want people to have access to once they perform the initial search on the home page. So I'm just going to do advanced here to show you what that looks like. And if I come back and view live site, eventually, whatever, it's giving me the most important thing. So now we've got our new layout, our new theme here, and now we've got this new search bar with those drop downs here. I can do a minimum price of 150,000. Here we go, minimum beds of 3, minimum baths of 2, but I don't get those additional options here for does it have a fireplace, does it have a pool, whatever. I don't get neighborhood, I don't get zip code, and there we go. So this is just showing me 3-bed, 2-bath homes in the MLS. Now, since I chose the advanced, now I've got all of these additional things that I can do on the listing search page, which is where I am right now. So they do have those additional options there, but they still don't have the option of keywords. So if they're looking for a house with a pool, you notice there's no drop down for whether it has a pool. If they're looking for a house with a basement, there's no drop down for a basement. So it's up to you which of the search forms that you want people to have access to. One other little snafu, and it's not really that bad, it's just a tiny little glitch, is say right here, you know, I've got the Plymouth theme selected, I've got this more traditional drop down style search bar selected. Say I switched my theme back to one of the Madisons here. Let me save that. And I refreshed my site. Actually, I went back to the home page. Go back to the home page. Eventually. There we go. Now it kind of messed up my search bar here. I've got the drop downs that I selected on that other theme, but it's trying to fit them into the space for the Omnibox, which looks really funny. It's got the big wide search bar and the really wide drop downs. These still work, it's just they look funny. So it's up to you if you want to keep that. If you don't want to keep that, after you've switched back to the Madison theme here, you would just come back to the search form and resave the Omnibox. And that fixes this issue right here. Eventually. There we go. Now we've got our Omnibox back. Okay, moving down, we're going to go to the menu here, and this is where it gets a little bit more fun and interactive. We're going to be adding some items to your menu. The first one is a page that's built into your site, but for whatever reason, Placester decided not to put it on the menu by default. By default, you're going to have your home, listing, search, about, blog, and contact on your menu. We're going to add an additional one. We're going to use this drop down at the bottom, and we're going to do your favorite listings. The test neighborhood shouldn't be there for you guys. That's from a different class last week. So your favorite listings is what we're going to select, and then we'll do add here. So now that menu item is added to our menu. And then say we wanted to move this menu item around. We wanted it to be farther left or farther up on the menu. We can actually just click and drag really easily. You see those dashed lines there? That's showing me that this is going to go into this spot right here. Or you can actually even create drop-down submenus here in the menu on your site. If you click and drag a menu item on top of an existing menu item, so you see my dotted line over listing search here, when I release the mouse button, now my Your Favorite Listings link is indented here. That lets me know that this is going to be a drop-down underneath listing search. So if I come down and save this and refresh Scott's site, now if I hover over listing search, now I've got this new Your Favorite Listings right here. And that would go to, oh, by the way, what a Your Favorite Listings page is, that's what am I trying to say here? That's a page where if somebody has signed up on your site and they've favorited some properties, this page is going to show them the list of all those properties that they've favorited. Pretty simple. And then another thing that we can do is down in this drop down, you see this custom URL option here. That's what we're going to do next. And we'll click add right here. And we're going to add a link to your branded KW app. That's not part of our default setup package unless it's me doing the setup, which isn't often. Our setup team does most of the setups for the Placester site. But you can add as many custom links to your menu as you want to. In fact, you can add as many menu items as you want to the site. That's definitely one of the pros to this site over the eEdge site. You can only have one additional menu item and one additional custom page, and that menu item goes to that custom page. So it's not like you're getting anything extra there. Here on Placester, you can have as many as you want. So we're going to add a link to your branded KW app. So we're going to label it something like download my app, or free home search app, or search homes on the go, something like that, whatever you want to here in the label. And then we got to go get the link for your app. Now I'm only going to be able to show you part of this process because I don't have access to the same things that you do as an agent. But get back to your MyKW homepage, and it should still be open in another tab. You'd have MyKW, and then you've got your Placester tab here. Once you're back on your MyKW homepage, in your eEdge control panel, in the My Marketing section, we'll click this plus sign, and we'll click on Manage eAgency Website. Now this is where I'm going to have to leave you because I don't have access to eAgency when I'm signed in as Scott, because Scott doesn't have an agent role in the white pages because he's not an agent. You guys are agents. You're going to have a KW app. Once you click on Manage eAgency Website, over on the left, you're going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.0 set of sections there. You're going to expand section 4.0, and then you're going to expand or click on section 4.5, Mobile Property Search. On that page, there's a drop down at the top, and you would select your market center in there, and then there's going to be a link that says http://app.kw.com/ and then a nice, I think it's like 7 or 8 character long code. That is your specific app code. If someone visits that page, they're going to see your picture, your information, and when they download the app, it's going to be connected to you. So that is your app page. Copy that link, the whole http:// everything, copy it. Come back over to Placester, and we're going to paste it here into the URL, and it's going to look something like http://app.kw.com/KW and then 12345, something like that. It's always going to start with KW, and then the rest of this is unique to you. And once you've got that in there, you can leave the tooltip blank. I will show you what a tooltip is, just so you know what it is. If I hover over home here, I guess Scott removed it. Okay, so I'm going to add a tooltip and tip. There we go. Tip with a P. There we go. So if you add a tooltip, I'll show you what that looks like. Come back to Scott's site here and refresh. By the way, after you add that menu item, you got to click Save down at the bottom, or else it won't get applied to your site. And if I hover over download my app, you see that little text that pops down under my cursor that says this is the tooltip. That's the tooltip. So you're telling it what to display there when it hovers over that menu item. You don't have to have a tooltip. It's up to you, totally optional. I usually don't put one, but it's up to you. And then if I click on download my app, it'll take me over to, yeah, there is no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 page. It'll take me over to my branded KW app page, and for you, it would take you to yours. Really easy peasy. Okay. Coming back to our Placester interface, we're going to drop down here into Site Info. This is pretty self-explanatory, most of this information. This is where your contact info is going to go into your site. For brand name, this is choosing, and I'll go up here on Scott's site, this is choosing this text right here. You see where it says brand name? It's going to be kind of big at the top left of your site up in the, what's it called, the header section here. So you're telling it what to display there. So usually it would be your name, or if you're a part of a team, your team name, something like that. And by the way, if you are on a team, we have a separate what's that called, a video for getting your MyKW profiles and everything set up to be used as a team. Definitely send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com for some more information about that. We can send you that link. I'm not going to look it up right now. So for brand name, we're just going to do Scott Leroy Marketing, because that's who we are, and you can put your name there, your team name there. You can the only thing you can't do here is leave it blank. You have to have something in brand name. Everything else can be blank, but brand name has to have something in it. For tagline, this is your tagline, your slogan, your catchphrase. You know, when we set up Placester sites, we usually put in your realtor for life. You're welcome to do that. I usually do something for Scott's site like your digital marketing solution, because that's what we do. Under here, we can upload a logo. Just ignore the select a KW logo. I used to show people what that looks like, but it actually doesn't work anymore. Not sure what Placester did or how that got broken. But even if it did work, not all offices have a KW logo to select in this section. In fact, very few. So instead, you're better off uploading your own KW logo, which you can do right here. I'm going to go find KW logo. There we go. So there's our KW logo there. Under here, you have the option to choose whether or not to display your name and tagline, and to choose whether or not to display the logo on the site. I recommend, personally, go ahead and display both, but it's up to you. It's your own decision, unless your office has a compliance requirement that you have to show your office's logo on your page. In that case, you would have to display the logo, and you would upload your office's file right here. One question I had from somebody a few months ago was, even though I've got a logo uploaded right here, this upload file button makes it look like I can have a second logo that I can upload. That's not true. Instead, what would happen is if you uploaded a new file here, it would replace this logo, okay? Under that, we've got a favicon section. I'm not going to go too much into detail about that. It's a square image that shows up here in the browser tab. You see on YouTube, this is the YouTube logo. Maybe hard to see, but here on Placester, it's their stylized mathematical P here. On the MyKW, it's that red box with the KW in there, and that's what I uploaded right here. If you guys want this file, feel free to shoot us an email at support@ScottLeroy Marketing. We can send you this tiny little KW favicon right here. If you have your own logo or something like that, if it's simple, it's probably pretty okay to put here in the favicon section. One thing to note, two things to note, is that one, it's square. It's 16 by 16 pixels. So whatever you upload here, it's going to be shrunk down to fit in 16 by 16 pixels up here. And that's the other thing, is that it is 16 by 16 pixels. So if you've got nice, flowy, thin script in your logo, it's not going to show up there in the favicon in the browser tab. So you'd be better off just using something like this KW. This is also not a place to put your picture, because nobody's going to be able to recognize you with 16 pixels tall. Sorry. It's better just to do something simple, just like this KW logo here. Under here, this information is pretty self-explanatory. Contact details, just put in your name and your email and your phone. Oops. There we go. And then this is your picture right here. So up here is the favicon, down here is your picture. So I'm going to put in Scott's picture here. There we go, nice pretty picture of Scott. And then under here, this is again self-explanatory, office information. So like Keller Williams Realty. Oops. And then if your office has a compliance requirement that it has to say a certain office name in a certain way, definitely put that there. Just double check with your office. And then you've got email, phone, address, all that stuff. One quick sort of thing about the email and the phone, when we set up sites for you through your Market Center subscription, again, that's a free service. When we set sites up for you, we just copy and paste the email and the phone number down here. That's our corporate policy, and we'll continue doing that, and you're welcome to do that yourself. My personal feeling about it is that I would want to put the office's actual contact information down here, because what happens is on your site, they're going to see your information or a means to contact you, a contact form or a link or something like that, several times before they ever reach your office's information. Here on the Madison theme, your contact information is going to be up here in the top right. They've got the contact form right there. Scroll down a little bit. There's another contact form right here. Scroll down some more. Your contact information is going to be down here at the bottom. And then very, very last is the office's contact information. So your office is not going to be quote unquote stealing leads from you if somebody is trying to contact them. Usually when someone tries to contact your office, it means they've already exhausted all of these other ways of trying to contact you and weren't able to reach you. So we don't want the office to lose the lead by having your information there again. So personally, I would recommend putting your office's email and phone number in there, but it's up to you whether you want to put those in there or double check with your office to see if there's a compliance requirement to have your office's contact information in there. And then for address, it's your office's address, 123 Main Street, Orlando, Florida, 12345, something like that, or whatever your office's address is. Scrolling down here, we've got our meta title and our meta description. This is for search engine optimization right here, this SEO. The meta title and meta description, hopefully you're going to get really, really familiar with, because everything that you create in your site, whether it's a custom page or a blog post or an area page or a testimonial, everything has its own meta title and meta description. This is setting the title and description for your home page, but each page also has its own meta title and description. So hopefully you're going to get very familiar with these, and if you want more information about that, we actually have a search engine optimization class here. Let me get that for you. Oops. There we go. SEO tips. I'll send that over to you guys. So this is going to go in more detail over what to put in your meta title and meta description. This is just, right now, I'm just going to go over technically this is how it works. So the meta title shows in two places. One is up in the browser tab right next to the favicon. So it's got Scott Leroy Search Engine Optimization. That's the meta title for the page that I'm on in YouTube. We've got the Placester meta title here. We've got the MyKW meta title here. So you're telling the browser what to display right here. You're also telling search engines. Let me search for Scott Leroy. You're also telling search engines what to display right here as this blue link. That is the meta title as well. So for the meta title, there's a rough, kind of soft limit of 55 characters before the search engine truncates it using this ... right here. So it's not going to hurt anything if your meta title is longer than 55 characters, but you want to keep the most important information up front if you can, so that if it does get cut off with that ... you're not losing any important information that people are going to read. So this would be something like Scott Leroy. Search homes for sale in Orlando, Florida, and we're going to have maybe the phone number, and all that's really, oh, turned off my caps or number lock. Where am I? There we go. All of that is the most important information: who it is, what you're doing, how to contact me, and then maybe you can add stuff about Keller Williams Realty after that. And then for the meta description, this shows in just one place, and that's again on the search engine. You're telling it what to display as this gray text right here. So this is actually going to be read by a person. So this is not a place to load up quote-unquote meta tags like homes for sale in Orlando, property for sale in Orlando, buy homes in Orlando. And meta tags are very outdated. Search engines have gotten a lot more sophisticated in the last, I don't know, 10 years since meta tags were popular. So meta tags are almost useless. In fact, they can be detrimental if you're putting meta tags in your description that don't have anything to do with your site. So instead, what you want to put here is a helpful description that an actual person is going to read here on the search engine result for what they're going to find on your site before they click on that search engine link. So Scott Leroy is your local resource to buy or sell a house in and around Orlando, Florida, something like that. And for the meta description, you've got a little bit more space, 100 more characters. So after roughly 155 characters, that's when it's going to truncate it with the ... So you can be a little bit more verbose here. Now, in your meta title and your description, you do want to have quote-unquote keywords that you want to be found for, but it needs to be in natural, human-readable language. You're not just piling up meta tags with comma, 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 comma. Okay, just keep that in mind. Once we've got all this information updated, we've got your picture, your logo, all that stuff, we'll click Save down here at the bottom, and I'll show you all at once how that information has updated on the site. Oh, one last thing about the SEO, the meta title and the meta description, it can take up to 3 weeks for the changes that you make there to actually show on the search engine when you show up in search results. So don't expect to change that meta title, go and search for yourself on Google, and it will show that new meta title immediately. It can take up to 3 weeks for that to happen. Okay, so back here on our home page, we've got that new KW logo that we uploaded there. We've got our brand name, Scott Leroy Marketing. We've got our tagline, your digital marketing solution. Over on the right, we've got that contact information that we put in, name, email, phone number. Scroll down to the bottom, excuse me, got that contact information again, name, email, phone number. And then lastly, here's the office's contact information. And I think certain themes, especially the Madison apparently, don't even show an email me link for the office. They only show the phone number. Some themes I think show an email button for the office, but it looks like the Madison doesn't. So that's all we changed here in site info. Dropping down here to language, I almost don't even want to cover this, but people are going to have questions. Not sure why Placester added this. This is choosing what language your site is written in. The only options are English, Canadian English, and French Canadian. Not sure why that's even an option. Maybe they're going to be adding more to that list later. I figured, maybe I'm a Spanish-speaking agent. I work in the Spanish-speaking community. I write my content in Spanish. I want my website to be in Spanish. Too bad that's not an option here. So I'm not sure why Placester added that, but that is an option to choose one of those three. And then the last thing that we're going to cover here in our Placester 101 class is lead capture. Auto-publish we're going to skip because it's grayed out. It's a paid upgrade thing that you can contact Placester directly about. We don't have any information about it. You would want to contact Placester. And we'll drop down here to lead capture. This is potentially one of the most important sections in our Placester 101 class, so definitely pay attention. For our lead capture settings, we've got two sections here. We're going to start at the top. You're choosing how your website captures leads, whether it passively captures them, which means visitors can view property details without submitting a contact form or registering on your site. So they can view as many properties as they want, and they don't have to give you their contact information. Or you have aggressively capture means, which means visitors are blocked from viewing property details without submitting a contact form or registering on your site. So that means they have to give you their contact information before viewing any property on your site. Neither of these is perfect. If it were me, I would maybe do aggressively capture leads, but neither of these is perfect. This is one point where I personally, and again, this is my own opinion, I personally would maybe recommend looking into an upgrade package from Placester that includes some customization for these lead capture settings. You can set something like maybe after 3 listings that they view, the next one pop up the lead capture form and force them to put in their contact information before they can view any additional listings. That's what I would do. Now, last I heard, the upgrade package that includes that started at like $90 a month. It does come with some additional options, and I'm not going to cover them here. You can contact Placester directly about what those options are. But if it were me, if I were an agent, I might look into paying for that just for this capability right here. It's up to you. Definitely follow that red light, green light method for adding expenses in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. That is kind of the KW Bible. Definitely get a copy of that book if you don't have it, and figure out for yourself whether you want to add this expense. Just wanted to let you know that that's an option if you contact Placester. Again, we don't have that information. You're not signing up through us. We're not running Placester. We are not Placester. You would contact them directly. Under that, we've got this section for lead forwarding, and this is the really, really important part of this. These are email addresses that you want to be notified when a lead comes in your website. So if they register, if they submit a contact form, if they request a showing, whatever, you want your regular email to be notified. So you would put in like your Scott at Scott Leroy, marketing.com. And then you also want to put in a comma, not a space, not a colon, not a semicolon, not a line break. It has to be a comma. And then you also want to put in your eEdge email address. Now, there's a lot of confusion about the eEdge email address. Just suffice to say, for most things, you can ignore it except for this one thing. So your eEdge email address being put in here means that leads that come into your site will automatically be added into your eEdge database as a contact. So you definitely want that to happen rather than having to add your leads manually. So what we'll need to do is return to our MyKW homepage, and in our eEdge control panel, we're going to click on View Contacts here just to get into the eEdge database. Yeah, we got a notification. KW is #1 in the country. All the numbers, agent count, volume, units, we're #1. It's great. But up in the top right, we're going to click on Account, and then my account. And then right here, let me zoom in just a little bit. We've got our eEdge email, this @kwrealty.com address. For most things, you can forget this address exists. But for this website, for the Placester site, you want to highlight and copy this. We're going to right click and copy. And you want to paste that into the lead capture settings right here. Remember, you have to have that comma in between these email addresses. It can't be a line break, can't be anything else, it has to be a comma. And so now what will happen is when a lead comes into the website, A, this email address will be notified of the lead, and then B, because this email address is here, the lead will automatically be added into eEdge as a contact, so you don't have to manually do that. Once you've got those in there, definitely click Save down at the bottom, and now any leads that come into your site are going to be automatically added into your eEdge database. Look at that, it's right at 2 o'clock. We're pretty much done. I'm going to leave it open for questions for a little bit. I'm going to turn off my microphone and see if anybody wants to send over a question in the chat window. If nobody does send over any questions, I'll just turn off the recording and we'll be done. If you want to hang around and see those questions, or if you have your own question to send over, definitely do that. I'll be here for another minute or two. But otherwise, you're welcome to sign off and go about your day. Have a great day.